Oh. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the August version of the Post Falls Urban Renewal Commission meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Director Johns to please call the roll.
Thank you, Chairman. Coles?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Baltzell?
Here.
Crosby?
Here.
Flashman?
Here.
Jeltness?
Here.
Clemenson? Commissioner Clemenson intended to participate through a Zoom connection. Apparently
Okay.
is not on yet.
Okay, great. We'll count him when he gets on. Okay, that good? Okay, thank you for the roll call. I'd like to ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Commissioner Hiltness.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning again, and thank you all for being here, or on the TV monitor, and appreciate that. First on the agenda this morning are ceremonies, appointments, and announcements, and I'm not aware of anything new that we need to address. If anyone else does or has an announcement they would like to make. Okay, moving on. Conflict disclosure. Do any of the commissioners have any conflicts with anything on the agenda today? Nope. Okay, very good. Okay, let's move on to item number 4, consent calendar. Director Johns?
Good morning, Chairman, Commission. Item A in the consent calendar is the Commission meeting minutes, July 20th, 2023. Item B is the payables for this month, totaling $5,793.95. Item C is the bank activity report, which shows total funds in all accounts of $4,941,106.46, and accrued interest for the month of $10,088.31. Item D is the financial reports as of July 31st, 2023. Item E is the fiscal year 2023 audit engagement letter from Anderson Brothers CPA to perform the fiscal year 2023 audit for an amount not to exceed $10,000. Approval of the consent calendar will authorize a transfer of $5,793.95 to the First Interstate checking account for the monthly payables and $10,088.31 accrued interest to the general fund. Mr. Chairman, I would answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
Just to comment on the audit engagement letter, it's a standard letter. However, we had budgeted $7,700 for the audit based on our previous experience, and obviously auditors are going up. I've noticed that in a number of other organizations I'm party to. I don't expect that we'll do the full $10,000, but I think we'll come close to that. But that is covered by the contingency that's in the budget.
Very good. That's a question I had and the answer I was expecting, so very good. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
So moved.
Okay. Second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Chairman? Okay. Flashman?
Aye.
Jeltness?
Aye.
Crosby?
Aye.
Baltzell?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Coles?
Aye.
Clemenson?
Okay, very good. Motion approved for the consent calendar. Committee updates, finance and policy. Commissioner Crosby.
Finance Committee has worked on the budget presentation, which we'll do in a few minutes. We've also had worked with Joe putting together an invitation to other urban renewals to have sort of a discussion about what we can do and how we can do it. I joined Commissioner Cole in the district review or the downtown district reimbursement discussion with the proponents and with the city, which went quite well. So that's my report.
Okay, very good. Anything else for finance and policy? Okay, district review, Commissioner Coles.
We just held a district review committee meeting this morning, discussed the checklist for St. Vincent de Paul in the downtown district. And Joe can tell you what the other one was. I forgot. It slips my mind.
Just a district status report
Right.
and a general discussion, or just an update on the downtown district
Right.
reimbursement submittal.
Okay, very good, thank you. Communications, property, and personnel, Commissioner Davis?
We don't have anything to report today.
Okay. Moving on, citizen comments. At this point, other than a staff member, I don't see any other citizens
What happened to that guy?
in the audience. So we'll move on to item number 7, public hearing. Public hearing is going to be held on the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget for the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency. If anyone wishes to speak and has not filled out a form, please do so now and give it to the executive director. Notice of the public hearing was published on August 3rd and August 10th as required by Idaho Code Section 50-29035. The public hearing is now open. Do you have any, I'll wait to ask that question later. Treasurer Crosby, will you present the budget, please?
Yes, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioner. Here are the key aspects of the Urban Renewal Commission's fiscal year 2024 budget for the period commencing October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024. How do I move from slide to slide?
Either the arrow on the keyboard, or you can click the. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Kind of like TikTok.
Thank you, Joe, for these graphics. Did you say TikTok? With regard to revenues, tax increment income is projected for each of the urban renewal districts and is based on the value of the properties located within the district as determined by the Kootenai County Assessor's Office, and the levy rate for the year, which is determined by the budget set by each of the taxing entities. The tax rate for each of the taxing districts is not currently known and will not be finalized until each of those entities has completed their budget hearings later this year. Therefore, we have projected tax increment based on last year's tax rates for each underlying taxing district and our conservative forecast based on the average change in tax increment received over the past 4 years. That averaging process adjusts for the reduction in levy rates that we have seen over the last several years. As property values have increased, we expect that levy rates in 2024 will continue to decline as values continue to increase, although at a slower pace. The Urban Renewal Commission closed the Expo Urban Renewal District in fiscal year 2022 and will close the Centerpoint Urban Renewal District and the East Post Falls Urban Renewal District in fiscal year 2023, so no tax increment is projected for those 3 districts in fiscal year 2024. Over the life of the commission, we have closed a total of 7 urban renewal districts and returned all the increased tax revenues from new and future development within those districts to the underlying taxing entities and to the public. The majority of those districts were closed early, and excess tax increment collected within the fiscal year when a district is closed was also reimbursed to the underlying taxing entities. Based on new and continuing development in our 3 existing urban renewal districts, the Commission is conservatively projecting an increase in the tax increment to be received in those districts, despite a projected reduction in levy rates established by the underlying taxing entities. Overall, the projected tax increment for the Technology, Downtown, and Pleasant View urban renewal districts is projected to increase by approximately 44%, or $468,800 from the increment received in 2023. As a result of continuing new commercial and industrial development stimulated by public improvements which are being developed within those 3 districts. Over the course of fiscal year 2024, we are anticipating the need to take accrued general fund monies of $56,259 to offset the loss of revenue due to the closing of 2 major districts in fiscal year 2023. This was anticipated, so it's not unexpected. Interest income has been conservatively projected at $39,000. Interest income is projected to decrease despite increasing interest rates since the commission has closed its two largest districts and will reimburse approximately $1.4 million of its accumulated tax increment to those districts as it closes, to the taxing districts as it closes those districts. Carryover revenue is tax increment projected in prior periods within a district, which will be used to pay for public improvements currently underway or planned for the future. Those funds will be paid out when the public improvements have been fully completed, paid for by the proponent, dedicated to and accepted by the city, and all costs reviewed and documented by the Commission's independent engineering firm. The agency is only projecting carryover revenues in 2024 for the downtown and technology districts, which reflect revenues that will be used to pay for key transportation and other public improvements currently underway in those districts. We have repaid all outstanding debt and are not projecting any future borrowings in fiscal year 2023. Total revenues, including carryover funds projected in fiscal year 2023, are $2,943,588. Moving on to, just one other comment. It is important to note that the Commission's projected revenues are generated from tax increment created by new development within each urban renewal district. The term tax increment is the increase in the property tax collected within the district resulted from new development stimulated by expanded public infrastructure and public improvements such as sewer, water, streets, etc., which have been completed. The underlying taxing districts continue to receive the same amount of property tax income that they were receiving prior to the creation of each urban renewal district. And once an urban renewal district is closed, all of the additional taxes created by the new development and the public improvements made by the Urban Renewal Commission within the district go back to the underlying taxing entities who continue to benefit from the expanded tax base each succeeding year. As urban renewal districts are closed, each of the underlying taxing entities realizes a dramatic increase in tax revenues from the new development stimulated by completed infrastructure and improved public improvements. This expanded tax base should allow these taxing entities to continue to reduce their levy rate and reduce property taxes. In the case of the Post Falls Urban Renewal Commission, these additional taxes derived by new development will increase in excess of $4.6 million per year from just the Center Point and East Post Falls closures in fiscal year 2023. Moving on to expenses. Our main expenditure in 2023 will continue to be a reimbursement of costs associated with improved, completed, and dedicated public improvements and expanded public infrastructure. Proponent reimbursement for approved and completed public improvements is projected to be $2.836 million as those districts start to develop. Projected reimbursements assume all existing improvements set forth in the improved district plans and schedule for completion in fiscal year 24 will be completed. If the improvements are not completed or approved and dedicated within fiscal year 2024, those projected funds will be carried over to the next fiscal year and reflected in the agency's future budgets. If tax increment generated over the life of an urban renewal district is not sufficient to fully reimburse a proponent for the public improvements that they have made, the proponent's opportunity for reimbursement will be lost. And as noted, Post Falls Urban Renewal Commission has no debt and has no plan to incur debt during the current fiscal year. With regard to operational expenses, the operating expenses of the Urban Renewal Agency have once again been decreased in the 2024 budget by approximately $60,000 with the closing of two major districts. With that decrease, operating expenses, including projected general fund carryover funds and contingency, continue to represent only 4.9% of our projected total revenues. Our fiscal year 2023 operating expenses, actually expenses associated with operating the agency, which do not include carryover funds or contingencies, were budgeted at $126,038 in fiscal year 2023. Our actual expenses for the first 9 months of fiscal 2023 are $78,474, or approximately $8,719 a month. Annualized, we are projecting that fiscal year 2023 operating expenses will be just over $97,300, which is approximately $30,000 below budget. The budget continues to contain a 5% contingency. The budget also projects slight increases in the following line items. The audit, as I mentioned earlier, which the engagement letter now sets a contingency upside of $10,000. Employee wages, of which were increased by 5%. Employee health insurance, our own insurance, dues and memberships, office equipment as we replace one aging computer, computer software and repair, postage and printing, phone and internet services, meetings, and website hosting and maintenance. Many of these increases are small in nature and are projected on the basis of the inflation that we're currently experiencing or one-time expenses such as office equipment. Total expenses for fiscal year 2024, including payments for public improvements and a contingency, are forecast at $2,943,588. Of this total, $2,798 and $978,321, or 95% of our expenses, are associated with reimbursements for completed, approved, and dedicated public infrastructure within our districts, and the remaining 4.9% of the forecast expenses represent the cost of operating and administering the agency and our urban rural districts. And to quote Robert De Niro and paraphrase, I love the smell of numbers in the morning. Any questions?
Okay, we'll open it for questions here in just a moment. Director John says prior to the start of the meeting, has anyone submitted a question or form?
No questions, Chairman.
Okay, if that's the case, then I will now close the public part of the hearing and open commissioner deliberations and action. And you can either sit there, go up front, either way, whichever is more comfortable for you.
Chairman, we can move right to the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And let's see. So we need to approve the budget.
That's what the resolution does.
Yeah, okay, all right. We have a resolution to consider for the approval of the budget for the coming fiscal year. It says a resolution of the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency making findings concerning the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023 and ending in September 30, 2024, and adopting said budget. And so the resolution is number 2023-4, and I'll take any questions or comments. If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Coles?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Crosby?
Aye.
Fleshman?
Aye.
Jeltness?
Aye.
Baltzell?
Aye. Okay, very good. Motion approved. The resolution is approved. Budget is approved. Thank you very much for all your work, for you and your staff and the director, and putting that together. The only question that I had is the same one that you commented on, having to do with the proposal by the audit agency. And
Yes, sir.
and that's, I have no problem with any of that, so. Okay, moving right along, we have need an approval for the semi-annual proponent reimbursement proposal. Do you want to comment on that?
I will. Per agency policy number 7, tax increment received by the agency for each of the urban renewal districts is dispersed in February and August each year for public improvements that have been planned, completed, and paid for by the proponent and dedicated to the city. August reimbursements will be distributed as follows. The Center Point District, where the proponent is Point Partners LLC, the August reimbursement is $387,194.70. This district is closed. There will be no further reimbursements. In the East Post Falls North District, the Tullamore portion, proponent is Copper Basin Construction. The August reimbursement is $614, $614,011.51. This district is closed. There will be no further reimbursements. In the East Post Falls North Tullamore Commons 2 area project, the proponent, Whitewater Creek, will receive an August reimbursement of $6,491.62. This will be the final reimbursement, and the district is closed. That completes our reimbursements for a total amount of $1,007,697.83. I do have further information regarding district balances, if it would please the commission to know what those are, but
Sure.
that is the information related to the reimbursements.
Okay,
Okay, with regards to the Post Falls Technology District, the current fund balance is $860,489.65 for future reimbursement of public infrastructure improvements. In the Downtown District, the current fund balance is $459,766.77. The Pleasant View District has a current fund balance of $0. We have a pending receivable in that district based upon the annual administrative fees of $25,000 a year per agency policy. The current receivable is for the amount of $48,719.73, pending remittance of sufficient future tax increment. Mr. Chairman, a motion would be in order to approve the semi-annual proponent reimbursements and authorize the transfer of $1,007,697.83 to the First Interstate Bank checking account.
okay. Anyone like to make that motion?
I would move the approval of the proponent as proposed.
Okay.
I'll second.
Is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? If not, then we'll have a roll call vote on that too.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Jeltness,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Baltzell,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Coles.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Now we'll move into staff report updates and any updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of items. In the Downtown District, we held a discussion with representatives of the Millworks and North Mill One projects. Participants included representatives from A&A Construction and JUB Engineers, as well as our own consulting engineers and a couple members of our commission, myself. The meeting was about their first request for reimbursement of project costs, and it was very constructive. A revised submittal is anticipated within the next month, or maybe two. We did, as mentioned earlier, in the Finance and Policy Committee meeting report, there were letters of invitation for a meeting of local urban renewal agencies that is scheduled for September 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. That were sent out. A request to respond to the invitation by September 13th was included. One representative of the Spirit Lake Urban Renewal Agency did contact myself and said that she expects for their agency to participate.
Excuse me, could you give me the date again?
27th of September.
27.
September 27th,
8.
6 to 8 p.m.
Thank you.
And lastly, the Inland Northwest Partners Summer Meeting titled Collaboration, Cooperation, and the Future of Communities was held August 9th at the Center Place Event Center in Spokane Valley. Commissioners Jeltness and Coles attended along with myself. The primary presentation was made by Doug Griffiths, author of the book 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. A copy of the book was provided to each person in attendance thanks to Inovia Foundation's scholarship or sponsorship. I do have a copy of that book if anybody would like to take it and read it. I have yet to complete it. One simple takeaway from this event that I noted was that when a business, large or small, looks at a community, they consider these 5 items the most significant to the least. Most significant is cooperation and collaboration within a community. Second is quality of life within that community. 3 is housing and workforce. 4 is infrastructure. And the 5th and least of the 5 was taxes. There are a number of great anecdotes and stories that were provided by the presenter, interesting things to consider, especially as our community moves forward. But like I said, this book is available. We have a copy of it for your use. That concludes my staff report.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the staff report? That's excellent. I'm glad you were able to go to that. I think a couple of you went. You went, Christy, or?
I didn't. I went.
You went, yeah, okay. Good, that was good. Do you have any other comments you want to add to it from your perspective?
No, it was very interesting. He was a great presenter, great speaker. His approach was the opposite. You wouldn't think of how you should kill your community. You would think of it, but the way he presented it was interesting. It was fun.
Yeah.
I was glad I went.
Okay, very good, thank you. Commissioner comments?
Chairman, I do have a comment. I think both Commissioner Clemenson and I noted the report in the paper where the library district had elected not to take the 80% increase in new development value that the statutes in Idaho allow them to as we close districts. I spoke with the director of the library network, and I sent her an email requesting an opportunity to come to their next meeting and help them understand that, because there was clearly a misunderstanding as to what that intent of that was, and they had gotten conflicting information from the county treasurer's office and also the state tax commission. My concern is that in closing those 2 districts, we have increased the taxable value in both the East, in the combination of the East Post Falls and the Center Point district by $707 million. And that allows each of the taxing entities to take an 80% increase in their net new development value in this budget year. And for the library, that would create $81,646, which they desperately need because they're cutting services and they're reducing operating hours. I also advised them that in addition, as we close those districts, we have tax increment that we have to reimburse, and they would get approximately $40,000 in additional. I've not heard back from them, and I don't anticipate I will. They seem to have a fairly close, or at least the majority of the board seems to have a fairly close mind, and they consider both of these would increase the taxes on existing taxpayers, which is absolutely false. But I did take the effort to bring this to their attention and to offer to come and educate them at their next meeting.
And you've had no response?
I've had no response, no.
Who does oversight or has oversight on the library board?
The library board.
That's it? They're the-
Yes. I also contacted the city to see if there was some way we could take back the jewel of Post Falls Library. And I was told that under state law, we'd have to buy the building back since we dedicated it to them at the time we got into that agreement. And we don't have the funds to buy the building back, so apparently not. So we continue to be part of the network, and that causes us to be impacted by the decisions that the majority of that board make.
But the board, are they elected officials?
They are elected officials, and
Just got elected.
the elections have consequences, as we've seen with NIC.
So if more citizens reached out to them, do you think they would take us?
I don't know how many people are following the library issues. I don't know how many people, are, clearly closing on Sunday because some people go to church and some people don't. Severely impacts families who have that day to take their kids to the library. Impacts seniors, but they seem to be moving that direction. and not providing staff increases will, you know, we have a wonderful library, we have wonderful people in there who are dedicated to what they're doing, and I hate to see it eroded.
For sure.
Well, Len,
Anybody have
I
any?
was just going to say, Len, thank you for taking the time to lend your expertise and your passion for our community. We all appreciate it.
Very much so, yeah. What, if anything, can we do to help that situation beyond what the steps you've already taken? I don't know, unless,
I don't know, I mean, we can't do anything about the $81,000 because if they don't take that into consideration in their budget, then it's gone. It's a one-time
Right.
opportunity. If they send us back the $41,000, I suggest we put it in our fund balance and consider possibly donating it. They might not take a donation, I don't know.
It's interesting.
Mr. Bredesen, do you have any comments on that?
Oh, it's definitely a strange situation, but, yeah, if they don't want it and they want to give it back to us, we could definitely donate it back to the library or to somebody else that really needs it, so. Yeah.
I think more to come on that, it looks like to me, at this point in time. But thank you for the effort, Len, that you did on that issue. So,
Who did you reach out to?
The director of this library, I forget the lady's.
Is it Alexa?
Yes,
Yeah.
Alexa, I
Okay.
reached out to Alexa. She was not,
Because Rochelle is chair.
yes, and she said she sent my memo to all of the trustees, including Rochelle and the other 5 or 6 trustees, but I've not heard anything back, and she was not anticipating that I would hear anything back.
Okay.
this is a public meeting, and with this part of our discussion here, it does affect our community, it does affect what we're doing, and as well as the library. Is there any advantage, or is it legitimate or appropriate for us to somehow put that out to the community?
I don't know it's appropriate to interfere with another board. You know, I know over the course of the library, we have made, I know from the Center City District, we made a contribution to the library, which enabled them to create the Freeman Duncan Reading Room. But, you know, it's like any other of the taxing entities. You know, they do their business, they have their board, we do our business, we have our board, we have our responsibilities. I don't know that it would be inappropriate or appropriate. Actually, I was concerned about the appropriateness of my communication, so I made sure to notify city administrator and the mayor that I was doing this. It wasn't my intent. I was doing this as a public citizen, as a private citizen. It wasn't my intent to interject the Urban Renewal Commission into the library board's businesses.
Have you, or do you intend to give feedback to the mayor and the city regarding?
The mayor was copied on my comments.
And also on, well, you didn't get any feedback, so.
No, sir.
I'm wondering if it would be appropriate if there was some sort of a press release, only because of us being transparent with the funds that would be given back, that we have to be transparent about what we do with those funds.
Actually, the $81,000 is not funds we're giving. It's their ability to take the new
The
development
40,000
into
now.
their consideration. But the 40,000, if they decide not to accept that or turn it back, yeah, we could put out a statement to that effect.
Do they have public hearings that public can attend?
Every meeting is, yes, it is public, yes. Commissioner Clemenson and I both listened to the audio recording of that meeting, where we determined that there was obviously a misunderstanding as to what this was and how it originated, and the impact it would have if they took it on the taxpayers.
Now, the 81,000 does not pass through our system
No.
as such.
That's,
But the 41,000 would be impacted through.
yeah, and it's all tax monies that have been collected. It's not
Right.
gonna impact anybody's tax bill this next year. But that was their misunderstanding.
Yes, the rebate of surplus increment funds from the East Post Falls District, South Central portion of the district will be considered at the September commission meeting. I will have the allocations of the fund balance broken down and checks prepared for providing to those taxing districts upon approval of that rebate. But until we carry out that action, that portion of our responsibility, which I believe would be our final official responsibility with regards to the East Post Falls Urban Renewal District, and then come to know what the response of the taxing districts is. And in this particular instance, the library district, we're only speculating. So we need to carry out that official action, our responsibility, and then go from there.
Excellent clarification.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so you're actually talking about the 41,000 in September. We would actually process it like we would for any other rebate and actually send them a check and here you go.
Right.
Okay, that makes perfect sense, and see where it goes from there. Okay, any other commissioner comments? Okay, the only other comment I had, and just, I don't know that anything's been done that way, but there is a recent article in the paper also about the Hayden City Council potentially putting their Urban Renewal Commission out of business, so to speak. I don't know all the details on that, but is it still a viable agency as far as you know?
Oh, I'm the attorney for the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency, and I heard that being kicked around back in a few months ago, but I think me and the current city attorney out there agree that it can't be shut down right now, so.
Okay. I think it was somebody's kind of offhanded comment, and that was picked up and added to the article, so it
Yeah.
it made
It's
more
part of the-
speculation than anything.
Part of their budget discussion.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I don't, just the only other comment I would have would be with Commissioner Crosby and your team on that finance and policy, putting together outstanding budget presentation, and also to Director Johns and his participation and all of that too. It's a lot of work. I'd appreciate that effort, and I think we're going to have a very successful and productive year this coming year in the new fiscal year. So
Thank you.
I don't have any other comments than that, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Or second.
Second?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.